So as you can see currently on the screen, Dame Dash has an $800,000 debt, and that is from something related to a movie lawsuit, which we're going to get into more in a moment. But a bigger issue he has is millions of dollars in debt, and the state took his share of Rockefeller. He gave it to him. I don't know how that worked out exactly. I'm not about to go and read more, but 1 million is what I did read. 1 million is what the winning bid was. The state owns his share of Rockefeller as far as New York State, and that went towards his tax debt. So who knows how much he's paid off, but he has millions in debt, and he also has this $800,000 lawsuit that they're making him sell all his companies for. So let's get some insight on that.
After getting sued for alleged copyright infringement and defamation, Dame Dash was ordered to pay over $800,000 in damages in 2022. Dame Dash's legal battle continues, and earlier this week, things reportedly got serious for the music mogul. All Hip Hop Exclusively reports that a federal judge ordered that he failed to pay a court-ordered $823,284.71 judgment. The judgment stems from a lawsuit filed by filmmaker Josh Weber and Muddy Water Pictures. It all started with the film Dear Frank, which Dash worked on before being removed for his allegedly unprofessional behavior on set. He's accused of going on to promote the film as his own regardless, calling it The List. After getting sued for alleged copyright infringement and defamation, Dash was ordered to pay over $800,000 in damages in 2022. Now, a ruling issued by U.S. Magistrate Judge Robert W. Learberger compels him and his company Poppington LLC to turn over control of Dash Films, Inc., Blur Rock LLC, and BlackRock LLC. It also compels him to turn over interest in Lebanon Improvements LLC, Ocean East Improvements LLC, and 1996 Songs LLC. Reportedly, Poppington LLC must additionally forfeit copyrights to various films like Honor Up, Too Honorable, We Went to China, and Welcome to BlackRock. Unless Dash files objections before June 16th, his assets will be auctioned by the U.S. Marshal within 180 days. The proceeds from the auction would go towards the unpaid judgment, and the rest would be returned to Dash. This is an undoubtedly unfortunate development in the case. It looks like Dash at least has support from his peers, however, including some unlikely ones. 50 Cent, for example, took to Instagram last month to give him a quick pep talk. "Dame, where you at? Bounce back. A little stress, but no depression." He wrote, "A little setback is just a lesson. You get a little arrogant, you lose blessings. But when you know how to win, you win. So quit fucking around and win again. Chin up."
So Dame has a lot going on that we may discuss to some degree at some point. And let me just get this out the way. I wish him the best with all of his debts and, financial issues, et cetera, et cetera. I wish him the best. I'm not a hater, but. The reason we're here today is not just because of that. We have to go back in time. I'm going to take you back in time to his Breakfast Club interview.
There's no money in this world for someone to pay me so they could call me, so I could call them a boss. That's like calling somebody daddy. How can a man call another man, yo, that's my boss?
Now, I want you to know that this is 10 years ago. And I'm going to pause and we're going to talk about some of the things that he said in this 10-year-old video. And the first thing we have to address is that attitude right there. It's one thing to consider yourself a boss. It's another thing to think that having a boss and calling somebody your boss is like calling another man daddy, and any man who has a boss is emasculated in that sense for having somebody that is above them that gives them money or opportunity, whatever the case may be, right? Because the truth is, most men on the planet have bosses. That's just what it is. Whether you want, and this is the thing, you say supervisor, you say manager, if they have the ability to fire you and they also have the ability to tell you what your role is and what you're going to be doing at this job. And they can enforce what you do with firing you or writing you up or anything. That's your boss. That's your boss. As far as this mentality, this video is very influential, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But I think this is a destructive mentality for a lot of black people. And this is the thing as well about the boss shit. When it comes to contemporary black culture, not black culture extending back to the 90s or nothing, but like black culture since the late 2000s, since Rick Ross came out, I have seen a lot of employees call themselves bosses. It's a different level of delusion that I could never really comprehend. Like, you answer to 3 people at this job, and there are other, like, you're at the lowest level at this job. You're not a boss at the job. Like, what do you mean you're a boss? You're an employee. And the type of rhetoric that Dame Dash helps add to that stigma of having a boss and a boss not being something good, like being under a boss not being something good. Everybody not meant to be a boss. Everybody is not meant to lead. And everybody got to make a living. And having a boss is not like calling another man daddy. That is just ridiculous. And again, like I mentioned, it's destructive and it's emasculating men who go to work every day.
We don't do that.
I mean, everybody at some point has to have a boss, right?
No, not in Harlem.
So why this can't be all work? This corporate America, we could be using
You don't
this.
own it.
But
I'm
I'm
telling you. No, I'm telling you why. I'm telling you why. Question. Let me answer your question. Can you give it to your son?
Can I give what to my son?
Whatever you
shares
working
of this
for.
company? I
Yeah.
absolutely positively can.
How?
Why? Because I own shares of this company.
You bought her?
Yes.
What I'm saying is, can your son eat? Is this yours to give the whole company
This
to
full
you?
company is
I'm
not
asking
my son's. No,
exactly.
It's not mine. But
Can,
I own
wait,
shares of
stop.
this company.
Listen. That's
I'm
not my
listening.
question. If your son needs a job here, can you give it to him? No.
No.
If your son needs to get some money out the bank from here, some cash flow, can he get it?
No.
All right. You don't own this.
But I can take
Stop.
the, I
I'm
can
just
take the
telling
money
you.
from here to invest in
No,
myself.
it's not yours. I'm not going to fight for something I don't own. Men don't do that. I don't fight for other niggas. I fight for me. I'm not a doula. I'm not going to build somebody else's company and then pick shares so my son can all that.
But I'm not.
No,
fighting for this
listen.
company.
See, the logic is nonsensical because he needs people to work for his businesses, right? He needs people to work for his businesses. So I don't get speaking against people who don't own a company helping you build a company, because for you to build any of the companies you have, you are going to need workers. You're going to need employees. You're going to need managers, supervisors, all types of stuff. Other people who are going to help you build the business that they don't own. This is a multi-million-dollar CEO that we're looking at saying this stuff. It's nonsensical. Now, as far as some of the things that he said, as far as you being able to get your son a job and all of that stuff and just run a business and do anything that you want, there is definitely value in being able to participate in nepotism. There's value in that. So that is something, as far as something good to take away from this, that's absolutely valid. That's absolutely good. That is something that if you can put yourself in that position, that's great. If you want to strive to be in that position, that's great. Absolutely wonderful. But when he asked them if they buy shares and all of this stuff, and do you own it? And, they buying shares and they helping build this company. And then he says, immediately after that, he says, you guys are fighting for something. You're fighting for somebody else. Men don't do that. In this context, fighting is basically buying stocks in a company that you work for so that you have partial ownership, not ownership to where you can call the shots, but you have equity in the company, but also working for the company. He's saying that men don't do that. So again, he's emasculating employees and investors, which is funny because when you look at Silicon Valley or something like that, what do a lot of those multi-billion-dollar tech companies start off with? They start off with investors. They go and they pitch their shit to a bunch of different people in Silicon Valley. And guess what they have? They have angel investors who come out, private investors who go and put into the company. The company is not public. So you have people who don't own the company to where it's like, this is my shit, not 100%. And you see this shit on Shark Tank all the time. All the time. Just because these people are investors, that doesn't make them the owner. That doesn't mean that they can call these shots and just, they're using their investment as leverage. The owner is still the owner. The only way the investor is going to own the company is if they buy the majority share or just buy the person out who is the actual owner, or buying the company, whatever the case may be. But, you know, you would be the majority shareholder, whatever the case is. So we're not going to get too technical with that. But that's what a lot of companies are built on, investors. So saying something like men don't work for, you know, other men as far as that sentiment, or, you know, men don't invest in companies that they work for, or just don't invest at all in other companies, like, that's foolish. It's just foolish rhetoric. But again, this is the multi-millionaire CEO at the time. He's a winner. We're listening to him. Shit, he's made more money than me, so he must know more than me, right? That's how it works. That's how a lot of people think. They think that, yo, the guy who has the success is always right. But we're going to continue. We're going to continue.
Is to put your money into something, the stress, go through all of it. So when your child becomes a man, he doesn't have to work for nobody.
Right, well, that's the
you
whole
can
thing.
just pass it to him.
Right now, as we speak, his Rockefeller shares last year got passed to the state. Now, his other businesses, a lot of his businesses, if I don't know if it's all of them, but a lot of his businesses are getting passed to the court. 10 years later, full circle.
You talk about
So if you're going to work 20 years in a business or 15 years in a business every day over and over again, and your son can't work here whenever he feel like it, you clowning him.
I don't want to.
So the average American is clowning at him. The average American, the working man, the people who go and fix the cell phone towers, fix the sewers, do the plumbing, all of this shit, work for electricians, fucking postal workers, et cetera, all the people who had the necessary jobs when the pandemic was going on. Those people are clowning. See, certain things, when I watch this, it sat wrong with me. It sat wrong with me because he was emasculating and degrading average working people. It is cool to be an entrepreneur. It is cool to be in a position to pass something down to your sons and your kids. And that's cool for you. That's the thing that you got to understand. It's not for everybody. It's cool for you. But to me, this is the funniest thing about when this video dropped. The funniest thing. Like, I'm somebody who has been on an entrepreneurial path, like, for 15 years. 15 years. Now, I didn't have brick money to start with, you know, and even then, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I failed a lot. But the thing I notice is a lot of my peers don't understand me. They don't have the same lifestyle I have. They don't, you know, go home and work on, you know, different things to get money outside of the job that they have or whatever the case may be. They don't have nothing. They don't have no ambitions. A lot of people that I've encountered, the majority and stuff like that. And again, I'm reading all these books. I'm buying like fucking courses that are bullshit and all types of stuff, right? When this drops, everybody, this shit dropped, and it was the equivalent to gym membership increasing on the 1st of January or in January. Everybody gets motivated to go to the gym at the top of the year, and motherfuckers be canceling that membership by March. Ain't used that shit since January, February. Shit, sometimes Planet Fitness make it so hard to cancel, the motherfuckers just let that shit keep going till August. Like, they just let it go until the fall. But this is what this was. Everybody and they mama wanted to be a boss, wanted to be a business. Everybody wanted to pass something down to their kid. Nobody could see the flaws in what he was saying, because there is some good shit that he's saying in there. But a lot of what he was saying was emasculating to the workers and stuff like that. But nobody really seen it like that. What everybody got was motivated to make businesses that they never fucking made. We're talking 10 years ago. None of these niggas wasn't making no fucking businesses to get a hustle that they got motivated to get a hustle that they don't have today. They don't have that hustle. And everybody wanted to be a boss for a week. Everybody wanted to be a fucking boss for a week. And guess what? That shit thinned the fuck out. I watched it thin the fuck out. I had a problem with it when the shit dropped as far as a lot of shit he's saying and a lot of shit that I said in this video. Motherfuckers calling me a hater. It is what it is. Da-da-da-da. But at the end of the day, a lot of these motherfuckers that was motivated didn't do shit with that motivation. Because motivation is fleeing. Discipline is what really gets you through this shit. So with that being said, we gonna move on to, because you've seen the takes and stuff like that. I really feel like those things and a lot of other stuff that I didn't put in here, like him saying Chatty Patty during that interview, talking about why'd you talking about another man and all that stuff. There have been a lot, like these things, these principles that he had in this interview kind of highlight why what's happening is happening today. So I'm not about to do a deep dive and go and do digging. I'm just going to go surface level off of shit that I know and shit that I've seen in the past 10 years. We talk about Chatty Patty. One of the things the Dame has been doing for the past 10 years is going and sitting down and doing interviews, and damn near every interview got to talk about JayZ. Got to talk about JayZ. And this is the other thing. Speaking of Chatty Patty, like there's, even if it's not JayZ, it's always about somebody else. It's rarely just about just him and what he got going on or anything like that. And I don't got a problem with that. Honestly, I don't even got a problem with him talking about JayZ. But when you do the Chatty Patty and then like every time I see you, you're talking about, even you can't even get on Instagram Live to talk about fucking what's it, Steve Stout and all types of shit. Like, to me, it sounds like it goes against some of the principles that he mentioned in that video. I could be wrong, but listen, that's the whole Chatty Patty thing. I thought it was like you talking about other niggas. But speaking of that, one of the things that I've also seen him do in the past 10 years is burn bridges. Now, before we get to that, the one thing I do want to salute Dame on is that he's not a fucking snake. I've never heard about him snaking anybody out or anything like that. You know, the story that what's his name? Steve Stout had, where he hit him with a lawsuit and all of that stuff. That's not snakish because they're not cool with each other. That's not snakish. That's just grimy. But we're not going to get into that. So I'm not mad at Dame for these things either, as far as the two bridges that I'm going to mention first. You know, I don't know what his relationship with Leora Cohen was. I have no idea. But he called Leora Cohen a culture vulture and always spoke against him just out of thin air. And I'm not even going to sit here and lie. Dame has said some really real shit when it comes to Leora Cohen. I promise you, I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater. Dame has said some real shit. But he had a relationship with Adam 22. That I feel like we seen that shit get rocky on camera. He was doing a podcast with him. That shit didn't last long. He started calling him a culture vulture, which Adam, if you don't know that Adam is a culture vulture by now, like, oh my goodness. So it's not like Dame was wrong, but the bridge was burned. And he also had a whole thing with Lee Daniels where Lee Daniels owed him millions of dollars. Millions. I think 10 years ago around the same time, they settled something in court. And then, you know, about 4-5 years after that, like however many years after that, he seen him in person and pressed him about $2 million. And then Lee said, I'm going to get him that $2 million. He said on camera, I'm going to get him that $2 million. Not in that moment, but in a whole different interview, I'm going to get Dame that $2 million. So honestly, Dame, I'm not going to lie, he is in the right in that situation as well. But the thing I look at is the slander tour he went on. Man, if you go and type in Lee Daniels, Dame Dash, I mean, he's even still talking about it to this day. But he did a lot of videos within a 10-year time frame, a lot of videos talking about this and just spreading this all around, saying dude is a culture vulture and all this stuff because Buddy owed him some money. So listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't really think that he's wrong in any of these situations. Not one of them. I don't think he's wrong. But when we talk about that last thing that I mentioned, you got to remember the end of Rockefeller. When the end of Rockefeller happened, you've seen the footage of Dame Dash running around the offices, right? Running around the offices like a tyrant, yelling at people, screaming, going into meetings, going ham, going crazy.
We all had a wake. That shit don't fly right. That shit is fucked up. And on another level, it's not for y'all to go. Y'all do not control any of my artists. That's why I'm asking questions. Everybody's looking dumb in the face. So what was we doing? What was we talking about in terms of Jay? Let me know.
Why don't we just call the meeting?
Why?
Because you know what it's like.
Why?
Damon, no one.
Why? Who cares? Why? We all here. Why now you want to call a meeting?
Because you know what? No one needs to sit here and be.
No one is so then get the fuck out. I don't give a fuck. Then get out. This is not about you. We're gonna do something about Jay. We're gonna do it together.
Talking to motherfuckers like they kids, like they children. Like just high-key disrespectful. So that rubbed those people in that building wrong. That spread through the record industry. And JayZ, being the powerful guy that he is and the influential guy that he is, especially at Def Jam, did not help Dame in that situation. So when it comes to the music industry, like Dame is pretty much left that alone. He went to movies. Now, when you look at the movie industry, you see him pressing somebody on screen, a director. And then also you see him going on a slander tour and stuff like that. Does it give the same vibes? Do you think the people in the industry, as far as Hollywood and things of that nature, they would be apprehensive when it comes to working with Dame because they may look at those confrontations and they may be intimidated by him? They may say, oh, he's not going to be pleasant to work with. He's not the go along to get along guy, nothing like that, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to give you a perfect contrasting example when we look at somebody like Wack 100. If you see how Wack 100 moves, Wack 100 will go, and when it comes to gangbangers and rappers and social media stars, man, he is going to go, or if he got an issue with you, he going to go off the handle. He going to go ballistic. Rah, rah, rah. Fuck your mama. I beat your ass. Let's line up to fade. All that stuff, right? So he's going to do he's going to say all the gangster shit, right? He's going to say the most gangsterism. But this is the thing. When it comes to business, all of that shit goes out the window, man. He was threatening Aaron the Plumber, man. They were supposed to expose Aaron the Plumber on the No Jumper show, and guess what happened? He had a fight lined up with Buddy that they was going to get paid for. So money was on, so he didn't want to speak about none of that. He didn't want to make dude look bad or nothing because he locked in about to get money with him. Wack 100 has made friends with a lot of his enemies so that they could benefit him. You've heard and seen how Wack can get. Like, if you really watch, like, the whole No Jumper sphere, you've been on Clubhouse, you see how crazy he could get. When you go and sit down and do the Adam and Wack show, he is very pleasant and he is very professional. Very professional. And the thing about him as well is he has, like, multi-million-dollar, like, deals and shit going on. He was the games manager, and nobody, I haven't heard of anything when it comes to him terrorizing the music industry or terrorizing any other industries. Now, I could say a lot more, but I just have to use him as a contrast as like, okay, when it comes to business, he makes sure that he don't leave a bad taste in anybody's mouth or fuck up the business too bad. But if you want to do the gangster shit, he gonna do that with the gangsters. Or he gonna do it with people who have nothing to do with any of his businesses. And if they do get involved with a business, he's gonna chill on all that shit. So it's a difference. Now I could keep going, but the last thing I'm gonna talk about is the JayZ Contrast. Because the thing about Dame Dash is he's about 100% ownership. And if you were somebody who, okay, you about to open up a string of car washes, you about to have a laundromat, you about to open up like, you know, some restaurants or something, like, yeah, that's cool. But when you are somebody of Dame Dash stature and you are playing big games and, you know, you've been on a like the pinnacle of fame and you got all these opportunities to get this money, et cetera, et cetera. Just based on my broke ass opinion, right? My broke ass non-millionaire opinion, basing it off what I see with JayZ though, you don't have to own everything. You don't have to 100% own everything. You could have a lot of things that you 100% own. But don't let that stop you from getting a bag that somebody else is willing to give you that is more than your business is generate. I'll just give you two JayZ examples. Two JayZ examples are the Brooklyn Nets, his investment in the Brooklyn Nets, which he doesn't own that. He can't fucking put, you know, a son that he has on a fucking squad. He can't do that. He can't just plug them in. And you know, that's the Dame Dash standard. You got to be able to put your son in any position in the business. Even if you are a multi-billionaire, right? And you got an NBA team, right? You still have the NBA regulating what you can and can't do. Are they your boss? Shit, they can tell you what you can't do with the business that you own. And guess what? They could take that shit away from you or make you sell it. Ask Donald Sterling. They made him sell it. And listen, you don't got to think too deep about that because Dame Dash in the actual video, when people said, yo, when Charlamagne said, yo, you was at Rockefeller and, you know, they was paying you. Any type of anything with anything business related to where a company is paying you, he's going to find a way to finesse it to say, nigga, that's not a boss situation. Shit, I could do the same shit. You go, oh, nigga, you get paid to fucking flip burgers. Nigga, I don't get this. Nigga, they not my bosses, nigga. Nigga, we made an agreement after a job interview, nigga. And I decided I was going to give them this much time and they decide what time, you know, they're going to allocate to where I can flip burgers. And I decide whether I'm going to come in or not to flip them burgers. But anyways, that aside. So you got the Brooklyn Nets, right? And again, JayZ doesn't own that to where he's the sole owner and he can make all these, even if you want to say, well, he is the owner. My nigga, the NBA still controls what he could do with that. He cannot have his son start over Kevin Durant. You just can't do that. So you have that. What is the other one? Oh, the NFL Super Bowl halftime show. Now, granted, if you know, you know. Sellout move. It is what it is. But some niggas never care in the first place. And then some niggas forget. That's just what it is. So that's a bag he is getting from Roger Goodell in the fucking NFL. And they do have a say in what happens or what doesn't happen as far as the decisions that JayZ makes. Because guess what? JayZ might own a lot of shit. JayZ might be a multi-billionaire. But he doesn't own the NFL halftime show. He doesn't own that. He was hired. He got the job over Jermaine Dupri, who he told not to take the job. Did you hear the word that I said? Job. Job. So is Roger Goodell JayZ's boss? Who gives a fuck? JayZ doesn't owe the fucking state and child support and all of this shit $9 million worth of debt. JayZ don't got to give up his Rockefeller shares. JayZ probably could give two shits less about the money that his Rockefeller shares is worth right now with all this shit he got going on. I'm going to wrap it up soon, but I look at somebody like Chamillionaire and I understand when it comes to entertainment, the trajectory of entertainment. Everybody, like the majority of people, you be lucky as fuck if you actually get a foot in the door and really get to make some good entertainment money in any type of way. If you get to a point where you can make hundreds of thousands a year from entertainment, you are a lucky motherfucker. It's not a lot of people. Nonetheless, millions. If you get to that point where you're making millions, you are a very rare motherfucker. But this is the thing about that. When you really look at entertainers, most of them don't last 10 years, especially when we talk about music. Most of them don't last 10 years. So somebody like Chamillionaire, he's always been a hustler. He's always been business-minded. Long story short, man, he took his money. He went to Silicon Valley, man. He started angel investing, or just investing. We'll say investing. And he's investing in a bunch of tech companies. Nas, fucking 30 years into his career, he invests in a bunch of tech companies as well. Makes him very rich. Makes him very rich. This entertainment shit is cool. It's cool to generate some money. It's cool to get a bag. But if you're doing it the Dame Dash way and you're not working with Universal and you're not in that Hollywood pipeline where people is getting greased up and butt fucked, it's not going to be that lucrative. If you're not where the white dudes is sexually harassing a bunch of people, like the rich white dudes, like, yeah, it's not going to be the most lucrative shit. So in my opinion, entertainment is cool, but you got to leverage your fame. In my opinion, if you get, again, this is my opinion, just based on the observations that I had, you got a short window to leverage your fame and your wealth into avenues that either are outside of entertainment or to where you can buy in to something bigger than you, much bigger than you. And you could think men don't do that if you want, but this is the thing I'm going to say as far as the JayZ and Dame Dash comparison. It is the perfect example of, would you rather have 100% of a grape or 10 to 15% of a watermelon? It is a perfect comparison because that's what JayZ had. JayZ, he might have a grape here, grape there, grape here, but JayZ has 15% of that fucking watermelon. And the one thing that's not going to happen, JayZ is not about to go fucking broke. And that is it for today.